Evacuate the library, engage your e-readers, and someone get this woman a book. Hey everyone, and welcome to November's TBR Assemble. If you don't know what TBR Assemble is, I'll leave a link up above to my original video where I do all of the explanation, but it's essentially my Avengers-based TBR game. Now the thing is that everything I read this month has also got to fit into two readathons. The first one being the West End readathon, and the second one being the Clear Your Shit readathon. So let's get into the roles and exactly what I'm reading. So today we are going to be using an Okoye as well as a T'Challa as well, because it's Black Panther month, and I just wanted to use both of them to reflect the past and also the future of the franchise of Black Panther. And we are starting with T'Challa at the bottom on number 1 because I went all the way up to the A last time, so we're starting back at the beginning again. So role number 1 is a 5. So we just go over to 5 over here. That is green, that is comics. That's a good start because I have a lot of comics I need to read this month. So we're going to go for this one here, and that is Fastos, LGBTQIA plus author or main character. That works out perfectly. That actually works out perfectly. My first prompt was Fastos, which is to read an LGBTQIA plus author or main character. And before I quickly go into my pick for this, I should mention that for Clear Your Shit, my strength is that I am a veteran of this readathon. I've been doing it since it was invented 3 years ago. My weakness is my overambitious TBR, because you'll soon find out that this TBR is massive and definitely overambitious, especially considering it's NaNoWriMo this month. And then also my weapon is a cape. And I should also mention as well that I do not actually have everything ready for the Clear Your Shit readathon in terms of what I'm reading for each prompt. I'm just going to sort of tick them off as I go, essentially, because that seems to work for me for this readathon. I like the chaos of it, so that's what I'm doing. But I do know my prompts for West End readathon. So with that, what I'm reading for this prompt is World of Wakanda by Roxane Gay. If I remember rightly, this is own voices for the female-female romance in here, like the relationship between them. And this is basically following Io and Anika, who are two members of the Dora Milaje, who end up breaking away from all of this, and obviously the Wakandan royalty, which is T'Challa and everybody else. And they are essentially like trying to sort of make a point and trying to change the way the governmental system of Wakanda works. This is a reread for me, but considering these characters are going to be quite big characters in Wakanda forever, it makes sense to be reading this again for this month, and I'm very excited to reread it. I loved it when I read it the first time round, and it's also accounted for the Hamilton prompt, which is a political book, and then also the Cinderella prompt, which is a moving book. Swapping out for Okoye now, because I'm just going to swap over with each turn. Role number 2 is a 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is an own voices prompt, so let's find that out. I'm gonna go over this way. That is Before You Didn't Have Me, a new book. My next prompt was Before You Didn't Have Me, which is a new book, so I'm going to be going for Okoye by E.B. Zaboy. This one actually hasn't arrived yet. I ordered it last week, but there's postal strikes, so it's fine. It should be getting here before November at the very least. And this is essentially a book all about Okoye, and Okoye is one of my favourite Wakandans. I absolutely love her, so what better time to read it than now, than the month when Black Panther comes out. Role number 3 is a 3, so 1, 2, 3, that is blue. That is sci-fi as a theme, so I'm gonna go this way. I think I'm gonna go for this one here, Spider-Man, a YA book. My next prompt was Spider-Man, which is to read a YA book, so I'm going for The Wakanda Files, which is a technological exploration of the Avengers and beyond, and essentially this is just an exploration of the science of the Marvel Universe, and it's actually annotated by Shuri, or supposedly annotated by Shuri. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's got like a whole load of like, it's mixed media, I should say, because it's got like little memos in here and shield file reports and things like this. You've got bits about basically all of the technology of all of the Avengers and things like this, which just sounds like fun. And because it's obviously annotated by Shuri, it fits in with my Wakanda theme, because obviously it's Black Panther Wakanda Forever month, so I am going for it and I cannot wait to read this one. I only just bought it a couple of months ago. I've been so excited to read it, but I've been saving it for this month, and now I'm finally going to get to it, and I cannot white. Roll number 4 is a 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is purple, so that is fantasy. I was hoping for a few more comic prompts in here, but never mind. I'm gonna go in this little, no I'm not, I'm gonna go over this way. I haven't been over this way a lot this time. That is, I went for the head, a book over 500 pages. My next prompt was, I went for the head, which is to read a book over 500 pages, so I'm going for my first not Black Panther related one, and that is Inkheart, which is a massive chunker that I've had on my TBR for years now, and this is, how long? Give me a second. 544 pages if you don't include like the back end bit where it's talking like interviews with the author and a little bit from Inkspell, which is the sequel. And I'm reading this one as well because I really want to complete the vlog that I have going, which is a sort of vlog about bookish books, and this one is very much bookish books because this is all about a main character here whose father can read people out of books and things like this, so it just sounds perfect for that. And it's also accounting for the prompts of Matilda, which is a book about books, obviously, and Les Mis, which is an epic, because I'm counting this as an epic because it's quite big and the story itself is quite epic. And it may also count as well, possibly, for the Lion King Animal Companion, maybe, because Paul Bettany's character in the film at the very least has a ferret, so I think that's in the book as well. I don't know, obviously I haven't read it yet, but hopefully it'll count for that prompt as well. Roll number 5 is a 2, so 2, that's under retellings. We're getting a real mix today. I'm gonna go smack bang in the middle here. I think this time, yeah, this one. Agent May, a lesser known book. My next prompt was Agent May, which is to read a lesser known retelling, so I'm going for Indexing Reflections by Shauna Maguire. This is the sequel, obviously, to Indexing, and this is following the ATI, which is the sort of management bureau for fairy tales who have sort of taken over people's lives essentially, and with dangerous consequences. And Henry is also dealing with the fact that she is now a Snow White that she doesn't really want to be. She's dealing with a potentially dangerous Pied Piper, and she's also wrangling a troublesome wicked stepsister, and also a twisted vicious Cinderella breaks out of prison and wreaks havoc. So I'm hoping this one's going to work better for me than the first one, and it's also accounting for several prompts as well. First one is Wicked for villains, because obviously there's a lot of villainous characters in here. Also Into the Woods, because this is obviously a fairy tale, and also maybe Heathers if there's a toxic romance in here of any description. So hopefully it will fit for that, otherwise I'm going to have to try and find something with a toxic romance in, which I don't have so far, but we'll see what happens. I really want to complete that prompt though, but either way this is covering several other prompts anyway, so it's fine. And finally, roll number 6 is a 1, so 1, we're under blue again, so that's another sci-fi. Right. I'm gonna go bang in the middle again. Peter Maximoff, a quick read. And my final prompt was Peter Maximoff, which is a quick read, so I'm going for Shuri by Nick Stone. Now, unfortunately, it now turns out that Nick Stone is a really problematic author. I will leave a link down below to all of that information so you can check it out and sort of make your own informed decision about whether or not you want to support this author. But unfortunately, I had already bought this book like 2 years ago now, and I was specifically saving it for this month for, like, obviously watching Black Panther and getting to know Shuri a bit more. So unfortunately the damage has already been done for me, but what I'm saying is that hopefully I can read this one and tell you if it's worth maybe trying to pick up in a charity shop or from your library if you still want to read it, essentially. So yeah, I will be reading this one, but even if I enjoy it, I will still not be picking up the sequel or anything else. I just basically have it, so I'm going to read it so I know whether or not to unhaul it or what. And that's obviously not the end, because it would not be a Black Panther month or a new Marvel thing month without a whole ton of comics. But I'm going to start with the one book I have left and then go through everything else. So the one book I have left is Bloodmarked. This is the sequel to Legendborn, which is like a King Arthur retelling cut in the thing, and I'm really, really excited to read this one. I love Legendborn so much. Cannot wait. It's also hopefully going to be counting for the Sweeney Todd prompt, which is revenge, because at the end of the first one of the characters gets kidnapped, so I reckon these other characters are going to try and save them, and it will be sort of like a revenge thing there. It's probably very loose on that sort of revenge definition there, but that's what I've got for the minute. Then the only other non-Marvel thing I will be reading is Sandman Volume 2. This is the audiobook that I'm choosing for the month, and I cannot wait. This is following the next sort of 3 or 4 Sandman comics, which is so exciting. I love the first volume of this audiobook, and it's also accounting for the Addams Family prompt of spooky book, because Sandman is kind of spooky, and I'm also counting it possibly for Lion King Animal Companion, because Dream's companion is Matthew the Raven. As for what you'll be seeing in my Black Panther reading vlog, which I will be doing definitely, the first one is Ironheart. This one is by Brian Michael Bendis. It is her origin story. I've been specifically saving this for now because 1, Brian Michael Bendis is one of my favourite comic book authors of all time, and 2, I absolutely love Riri Williams. I read her Eve Ewing stuff and absolutely loved it, so I definitely cannot wait to get to this and read this and find out more about Riri and everything else, and she's just turning up in this film, so it's no better time to read this. I'm also going to be reading Shuri by Nnedi Okorafor as well. This one is obviously following Shuri, which is very, very exciting. I love Shuri so much, I cannot wait to read more about her. I've also got the Reginald Hudlin Black Panther collection. This one is seen as like a very definitive Black Panther collection, and if I remember rightly, it's told from the point of view of Everett Ross, which will be quite interesting because I do love Everett Ross, I've got to say, so I'm very excited for that. And then finally I have also the entire Ta-Nehisi Coates collection. This is a 9-volume series. It's one of the latest Black Panther series. I've been collecting it for years, waiting for the second Black Panther movie to come out, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to be reading all of this. I'm just very, very excited too because I love Black Panther. I read the first volume of this, really enjoyed it, so I cannot wait to speedrun the entire way through this series and just find out more about Wakanda and everything else. This one is massive. We go through A Nation Under Our Feet, through into Avengers of the New World, and then the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. So there's a lot going on. Very excited to finally read this. And then if I've got time outside of all of that, I've got all of these that I could also read as well. Quite a few of these I will probably try to read, specifically like the more Shuri based ones where Shuri is the Black Panther, things like this, but we'll see how much time I've got, see like what I'm in the mood for, that kind of thing. And that is the end of this TBR. I'm not going to try and hold all of these up because that'll be ridiculous, but it's working out at about 127 pages per day when we do not include the comics, so that's not too bad. When we include the comics, it's going to be a ridiculous number of pages, but I can read about 400 or 500 pages a day when it is comics. But obviously I also have a lot of blogging to do this month and also a lot of writing to do this month, so who knows, this could end up as a disaster and I read nothing, but we'll see. We'll see. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what you're reading in November, I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me an animal related emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics, where all of this Black Panther stuff will be available on there in the coming weeks if you're interested in that. I'll also leave a link as well down below to my Etsy and Redbubble store, which sells bookish merch if you want to check that out. And if you want to see any more of my videos, including that Black Panther vlog, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!